Getting beyond a joke, our health system, and it could be so much better, but they seem to be concentrating on all the other areas except health. And we're in election mode at the moment, and there's not a great deal being said about our health system, which is in a shambles. Yes, it's been mentioned, but there's a lot of other crap they're carrying on about, which is totally less important. As far as I'm concerned, the health is priority. I'll give you a few examples, and I want you to tell me if your experiences, like with these hospitals, etc. Now, I've had, in the last week, a friend of a friend was taken to a hospital for mental health issues, quite serious. They sat from 1 o'clock in the afternoon, roughly, till 7 o'clock in the evening before they got to see a doctor. Now, that's just disgusting. That's someone who, she was in a bad way. Now, I don't blame the people working in the hospitals. They're flat out. It's the damn system where we don't have enough people working in hospitals, enough hospitals. It's just so wrong. It could be so much better. And my stepdaughter, same situation, all in this same week. I've got 3 examples. She made a phone call to a mental health hotline, and I didn't know anything about it. She couldn't get through. 6 hours later, they rang her back. She left a message, as you do. They tell you, leave a message and you'll be first in the queue. 6 hours later. Now, I don't think it was that serious in her case, but if there's a lot of others that it is, are these people losing their lives because of this? And then there's another one, and this guy's quite a bit of he'll motor on through things. He got quite sick in the middle of the week, and he didn't know what was going on, and he just suddenly was getting horrible pains in his abdomen area, and decided enough was enough, so he thought, I'm going to drive myself to Fiona Stanley Hospital, 40 minutes away from he lives, instead of 10 minutes to the Peel Health Campus. Now, what a reputation our local Peel Health Campus has. It's a joke. And it is a joke. You drive in there, and I've been in there many times, or I drive past there, and you see ambulances parked up, ramped, with passengers in. 3, I've seen 4, 5 at a time. Because they just don't have enough staff in these hospitals. It's just crazy. Now, this guy put his life at risk to avoid Peel. He didn't realise how serious it was, and he thought, if I call an ambulance, I'll end up at Peel, which is a joke. And once again, I'm not having a go at staff. They do a wonderful job. They are run off their feet, the poor buggers. He drove himself to hospital. Now, he didn't make it. He got halfway and thought, this ain't working, so he diverted to another hospital, which is 20 minutes away, which he said was okay, but because he turned up in such a bad way, throwing up and whatnot, they admitted him there and got it sorted out pretty quick. But just the thought that you have to do that, and I'm of the same view. I would not go to Peel Health Campus. I had a couple of bad experiences there. One was with the stepdaughter, actually, again, many years ago when she was about 8 years old. She broke her arm, very badly broke her arm. Took her there. We sat there, I think it was about 6 hours, and she was in agony, absolute agony. And I know what triage basically do. They prioritise who's, more important. Well, a woman came in after us. Now, this is where probably staff aren't doing their job. A woman came in after us who'd stubbed her toe. Stubbed her little toe, the old little toe thing. She went in before my daughter with this severely broken arm. Now, it didn't look like she had anything other than a stubbed toe. Might have been broken. Who knows? And when we finished there on this particular day, we ended up getting sent to Fiona Stanley. So they snapped it and whatever they did while she was on the happy gas, plastered her up and said, yeah, take her on down to Fiona Stanley. They just don't have the staff. So I wish I'd have driven straight there in the first place. And yeah, now if it's anything, that's where we go. Because it's a far superior hospital compared to our local piece of shit. And you politicians need to get your ass into gear. It's election mode, and I don't see too many people. They carry on about it, but not as much as they should be. So What are your experiences with this? Do you have similar where you are? Depends where you are in the world. I'm curious as to what it's like in other places of the world, but here it's getting really bad. And unfortunately, there's a lot of money being wasted on a lot of things that could go towards the healthcare system, mental health, general hospitals, all those types of things. You know, we're wasting money on government grants to find out what sex fucking ants are. You know, you can put in for a government grant to some of the things I've seen these government grants for is a fucking joke. I'm sorry. And they get through. Who signs off on this shit? And why? Because the grants department are obviously given a certain amount in the budget per year and they've got to use it. Otherwise they won't get it the next year. Well, it's just ridiculous. Well, if you didn't use it, then, well, it's probably a good job that you don't get that much the next year because you're giving it away to shit. You know, a lot of it, not all of it, but there's a lot of it, it's just total crap. So where is this heading? And I hate to say it, but we also need to be taking a look at where a lot of this money's going. And I really hate to say this, but I'm going to get hammered for this. Let's take a look at the Indigenous budget. How much money goes in there? How much money is wasted in there? And more wasted, and more wasted. And I'd hate to say this too, but it does appear that the people that do the least seem to get the most in this country. And here's a classic example. Indigenous person living out in the middle of bumfuck gets a full pension, doesn't have to look for work, just gets a full pension. Gets a free house, no rent, you know, and then complains when the house is demolished because they've demolished it and then we've got to rebuild it again, and continually wasting funds on this big circle. That shit needs to get sorted out, and because the genuine people, then I'm not saying they're not genuine people, but the people that are the hard workers here are getting shoved to the back of the burner, sitting in hospitals 6, 8, 10 hours at a time, sitting in the corridors, sitting in ambulances because the money's going to the wrong places. Our politicians need to grow a set of balls and start standing up to this garbage, and they might actually get voted in, because we're in the middle of that at the moment. And if one of those politicians actually stood up and said, we're not throwing any more money into that crap or that crap, this is where this money is going to where it really needs to be, I think they might get quite a surprise and they might actually get in with a large margin. But they just don't seem to have the balls, and in particular when it becomes to Indigenous. Do never say anything against the Indigenous, because look out. And unfortunately, it's one of our biggest parts of where the money goes, and here we are giving them even more. Not to mention the royalties from all the mining. Where's that all go? Where does that all go? Now, we're talking millions of dollars constantly just disappearing to where? Now, why isn't that going to help the Indigenous? No. You trust me, a lot of that disappears to certain few. It certainly does. And this crap needs to stop. Honestly, it really does. And like I say, tell me your experiences with these hospitals. That's mainly what this video was about, because it's very frustrating that over the past week, 3 friends, or one was a friend of a friend, one's a relative, had to wait as long as they did. We're in the lucky country, which is turning to the shit country. Look, Donald Trump's not helping that out at the moment. He's turning it to even more crap, and we're all going to be in recession soon because of that idiot. Trillions of dollars wiped off share markets. It's not coming back. I'm sorry, but he's the out of thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of analysts around the world, Mr. Trump's the only one that seems to think his plan's going to work. We've already got hundreds of thousands of people losing jobs in America, so it's not working. Anyway, I'm going a bit off topic there. Tell me your thoughts on these hospitals, your experiences. I'd love to hear them. Love to hear your experiences in those hospitals, because wherever you are in the world, I'm curious. Have we got it better than others, or worse, or what? Just let me know what your thoughts are. Love to hear it. All right, guys, have a good day.